Your inner views should influence how you see your world versus the outer views shouldn't influence how you see things from the inside.
When I'm in a Crown and Sash, people want to talk to me more, and it just helps amplify the message of the nonprofits that I work with.
Touching something isn't going to give you COVID. It's about, it's what happens after, right? So the gloves aren't really the answer. The answer is to keep your hands clean.
I'm Richard Gerhardt.
And I'm Elizabeth Gerhardt. You've just heard snippets from a few of our guests. Fantastic presentations, so stay tuned for more.
I'm Richard Gerhardt.
And I'm Elizabeth Gerhardt.
Welcome to Passage to Profit, the Inventors Show, where we talk about small businesses, entrepreneurs, and the intellectual property that helps them flourish. So how well are you? Ash Kumra is our featured guest this evening. He's a wellness entrepreneur, national radio host, and top-ranked performance and personal branding coach. Christina Henderson is our executive spotlight and holds the current title of Mrs. New Jersey. And she'll be interviewed by our very own Carrie Barrett.
And we have a fabulous consumer product. So there have been so many inventions during the time of COVID. I love this one, and I am getting it for myself. I'm just going to tell you, everybody's going to want it when they see it. And you will be hearing about that from Hirsch Chin.
Yeah, and it's a great product, and it's a fantastic idea, and it'll keep you happy and sanitized wherever you go. So we're on to IP in the news that you can use. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a new patent that's been issued to Spotify. And the point of the patent is for technology to be able to predict what emotions you have, and then they will select music in tune with your emotions. And so it's a very interesting patent. And I guess I'm kind of concerned that they're going to be using this technology to determine my emotions. I'm not sure that I like that idea. The way that they do this, though, is that they, first of all, they look at your earlier playlist. They determine where you're located. So whether you're on a train or alone or in a party. And then based on that kind of information, the geolocation, they have a voice sensor that senses your mood. And then based on that, they predict just exactly what kind of music is right for you at that moment, which I happen to think is absolutely crazy because I'm not sure I want software that can determine my mood.
Well, it shows what your friends are listening to as well. So that is kind of creepy, I think.
Yeah.
But, personalized marketing using AI. That's what's happening. Right?
Yeah, I really am concerned that in 6 months we're all going to be living under the the spy net or whatever they call it, and we have just a few months of freedom left.
You already are. So anyway, well, let's go to some conspiracy theory stuff. This is kind of fun. So I am going to show you this. This is what I'm going to be reading from. This is from the War Zone, which I stumbled across online when I was looking for Patent Palooza stuff. And the name of this is The Secretive Inventor of the Navy's Bizarre UFO Patents Finally Talks.
So we didn't even know that there was a secretive inventor from the Navy, but now we do. And let's hear what he has to say.
So his name is Dr. Salvatore Pais, P-A-I-S. So if you are interested in secret patents of the Navy, then you can look for this guy. The War Zone has been following him and trying to figure out what he's up to. So they say it's funny because they're actually getting the patents granted, and they're like on pie in the sky science fiction stuff. So this is written by Brett Tingley.
So what kind of stuff is he patenting?
So it's written by Brett Tingley, and the most radical of all is the hybrid aerospace underwater craft claimed to be able to engineer the fabric of our reality at the most fundamental level.
I've already got one of those. Why does he need to patent that?
He got one. So all this has led many to wonder, like, what's going on with Dr. Salvatore Pais' patents?
I think they're just trying to keep that defense budget up high and file a lot of meaningless patents so that, guy sounds crazy.
So they think maybe they could be misinformation. So our adversary is going a wild goose chase.
Oh, conspiracy theory. Great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they've already invented some of this stuff and the fabric of our reality is unraveling and changing as we know it right now.
Yep. And those of you listening to Passage Profit may be feeling that at this very moment. So just hold on. It's just an invention by the Navy. So
anyway, sci-fi stuff. But as I told Richard, in the year 1 AD, I doubt they thought we'd be flying around an airplane. So,
well, and that's true. And Arthur Clarke, who is a famous sci-fi writer, actually invented the satellite. And he wrote about it in a fiction book before it ever became reality. So while this is a little tongue-in-cheek, and I would love to see somebody bend reality, you know, you never know what could happen. I'm just waiting for the warp drive patent. So
me too. I am so excited about our guest today.
Yes, Ash Kumra, welcome to the show, Ash. We know that you're a podcaster, a nationally syndicated radio show host, and you're all about wellness. So how are you feeling right now? Are you well?
Well, I'm laughing so much in my head. You two are like this comedic duo. You guys need to do stand up. I'm serious. I really enjoy just hearing you talk. You guys are like, I love your dynamic. But on a serious note, I'm super happy to be here. Honored to be here with all these amazing guests. I'm doing great. You know, what's interesting is I've been saying this to a lot of people. I am very happy about 2021. And when I say that, it's not from a political, it's not from a, you know, is the pandemic, you know, seeing the light of the tunnel, all these, I just feel that 2021, I just get this vibe that everyone wants to find ways to normalize their life. I don't know what you both think about that.
Thank you for asking. We have been in our business, I'm an intellectual property attorney, and actually things have been pretty steady for us. But the things that we miss are the things like getting together with our family as often, being able to go outside, going to restaurants was one of our favorite pastimes. And I think a lot of people are missing out on those activities. So I'm desperately waiting to get back to that.
I'm excited about 2021. I think that we're going to come out the other end of this dark tunnel we've been in. And I think people are going to be so much more appreciative. I know I am. You know what?
Yeah, that's really a good point. Yeah.
I feel that the reason why I say that is because I feel that what you just said, Elizabeth, is really key, is that gratitude is being tested to another level right now. So one of the reasons why I love wellness, one of the reasons why I love doing what I do and have conversations like this with you all is because I think we need to remind ourselves that it's more important than ever to appreciate what you have right now. And I think gratitude, and I think being kind, and I think embracing the uncomfortability and saying, you know what, I dealt with some stuff, but there is a light at the end. I don't know. I just feel really good about all that. And I feel that there's this collective energy around. And I feel that this year, we're going to see more of that. So when I think of wellness now, I think wellness is less about just your skincare routine or are you meditating. It's more about how are you appreciating what's in front of you.
Right. And I think two of the people that we have on the show today, well, actually everybody that we have on the show today has redone things for COVID. They've come up with very clever, intuitive inventions or different ways to do things based on the reality we're in now. And they're going to carry that forward into 2021. And it's like the creative juices have just been flowing. I mean, certainly at the law firm where people bring patents and trademarks, there's been a lot of activity.
But Ash, you know, you're so right, because it's been so easy to focus on what we've lost. Mm-hmm. And that puts you in a certain spot. And if you reverse that and think about what you have, that can make a real difference. I think that will help people move forward. And as Elizabeth said, the gratitude of you know, what came before and what you have now, I think those are really great points.
Yeah, I agree. You know, one other thing that it's interesting, you were talking earlier about these conspiracy theories and, you know, being the Spotify patent in another segment. I wanted to share another scary thought, and this is like not fake news. Did you know that Elon Musk has actually tested the neural link into a monkey's brain?
Yes, I saw that. And that is terrifying. And the monkey was able to do human
Play video
stuff,
games.
right?
Yeah. Play video games. Yeah. But what if the Neuralink like is in your head to make you be more grateful and just make you to find the positive in things? Would you still not want to use it?
The question is, who gets to decide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if it's somebody you like and it's the types of thoughts you like, then you're cool with it. If it's not, then what can you do about it?
Can we take a step back, and Ash, can you explain exactly what the Neuralink is?
Yeah. So, and again, I'm just going off of the traditional news sources like CNBC and other kind of financial news. But essentially, the Neuralink is a chip that is in your brain that basically allows you to have enhanced cognitive abilities. And for some people who might have, let's say, your legs can't move, it would have a way to have your brain essentially connect with the different parts of your body to allow certain physical actions that you normally might not have, like if you couldn't walk or if your back was broken or things of that sort. So that's the theory behind it. For me, it sounds normal because I think anyone who grew up watching Star Trek or is like, okay, it's like Star Trek. I've seen this already. You've seen data and you've seen all these, different neuroscientific kind of cross technology. So, but yeah, that's essentially what Neuralink is, I believe. And I don't know if the intention behind it was meant to do those functions, but it's people like Elon Musk. And I think you talk about 2021 and repivoting and changing. I think these technologists and visionary type thinkers are probably saying, what else can I do given what's happening? Maybe they're trying to accelerate the Neuralink because they're seeing that a lot of people might not trust themselves or they want to have this thing. I don't know if I would ever use it, but I think there's some people who generally want it.
I think that we've all been trained to be afraid of things like that because you can't make a good movie unless something goes wrong.
Well said.
Yeah. We've seen what happens when you put one of those things in your head, right? It does seem like there are a lot of positives, that's for sure.
If I could put the Neuralink in and become smarter, I mean, that's so tempting. It's like,
is it really though?
Yes,
I mean, have
for
we
me.
done well? Not for you. You're smart, but for
I'm smarter.
You're smarter. But have we really done that? We're getting deep here, but have we really done that well with the brains that we've got on this planet? I mean, what is smarter going to solve, right?
Well, some people have.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should have Kenya weigh in on this.
Kenya, yes.
Man, I don't know if you want me to. I mean, I think for me, it's all interesting and it's innovative and, forward thinking. I also feel like sometimes it's problematic when we start to do God's job, and we start creating things that like alter our natural human state. So although I see the benefits from some of it, I also think that there could be some potential dangers from altering anything that we've been naturally given. So that's kind of where I stand on it. And it goes back to, Ash, your point about gratitude, right? Like if we're to be in a really truthful, grateful state and appreciating what we have and where we are, I think life is really about mastering that and appreciating what we have and getting that to work at its optimal level, right? On its own. So that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah. Well,
it's a tightrope walk. I mean, will you get a vaccine so you don't die? It's like it's a philosophical question. I think it takes somebody that's really knows philosophy to even put this in a frame of mind.
I think it's the thing is nobody really knows, right? And it could be that someday we all end up as part of a large machine or a large neural network.
The Borg
or whatever.
The Borg.
And maybe that is better. I don't know, but nobody really knows that. Carrie, what do you think? What do you?
I see this there. I go back and forth and I have a million questions for you, Ash. And I know there's probably a couple of people in our audience who might be saying like, what is this, hippy dippy kind of stuff? I need you to show me some science or show me some. So I'd love to hear how you are where you are when it comes to how this all works and your belief in it. But I was just doing a podcast earlier this morning with somebody who has a doctorate in business psychology. And we were talking about gratitude, one thing. And we were also talking about this thing called the caveman brain, which is like, that sort of innate, ancient defense mechanism that we have when the bushes rustle, we like see saber-toothed tigers. And that's how we have managed to, stay alive for millennia. Well, now the dangers are different, but our brains haven't really evolved to keep up with the fact that no, when the bushes rustle, it's not because there's a saber-toothed tiger. However, I do have like the PTA sitting on my shoulder instead, and I feel the same fight.
Well, now it's the guy with the leaf blower, right?
So maybe there are some, I don't know, there's some good use for it, but I also think about, are we getting into our DNA too much? Are we creating designer babies, like that sort of thing? Like, how far do you take it? I don't know. I have thoughts all over the place, clearly, that I'm not articulating very well when it comes to that. What can you pick out from what I just said, Ash? Help me.
I actually love this conversation because I feel that, I love the whole primal conversation because if you follow the history, that yes, cavemen, cave women were hunters, or they needed to survive. And I feel that we live right now, at least some people in our society live in a time of excess culture. Like, we complain about things that are, kind of like, that first world kind of thinking or whatnot. And so I feel that sometimes people take advantage of the fact that we have so many luxuries, and so many luxuries force us to become inherently lazy. I'm not telling you to go hunt right now and go kill meat if you're eating meat, but I'm just saying that, buying excess meat or buying excess plant-based food when you just need food for the day, but stocking up your fridge for months and months and months, it's like, do you really need to do that? Or like you said, complaining about things that are so like, do you really need this in your life? And I think one thing that 2021 has taught me, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I think 2021 and the unfortunate recession or quasi-recession we had for 2020, and maybe it's continued a little now, is that it's made people realign with that primal self of what do you really need in your life? Like, do you really need to go shop and buy all these things? You really need to go drive and go to all these events. You really need to have certain people in your life. And I'm not telling you to cut people just to cut people, but I think people need to focus on the quality, not the quantity of their life. And so that goes back to that ancient primal days of our ancestors. And so that's what I hope more people tap into. I don't want them to use the unfortunate situations to make them realize that. I hope they can do that with self-awareness. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. And it's really interesting because when you started to talk about, sort of decluttering our life a little bit, that's my own, how I'm interpreting what you're saying. But there was an article that just came out, I don't know, last week, and I wish I could remember where I read it, but it was that the pandemic has forced us all to become a little more authentic, meaning
yes,
we don't have to hang out with this person who we really don't like, but we feel like we're supposed to, because that's what our social group dictates that we do. Like, we've kind of stripped away all of the BS, and it's forcing us to, in a good way, be a little more real.
Be more real and just live
Usually
a more normal life. Like caring less. I think, and I think there's a lot of reasons why this excess culture's happened. I have a love-dislike relationship with social media. I mean, I'm on social media right now talking to you all, so I love the communication capabilities, and it's been able to allow my podcast, my radio show, and other content I do reach audiences I would never reach. But at the same time, it's a drug too, where if you get on it, you can use it for that short-term hit, for, oh my God, I want to post a status and look at my likes. Or you could say, oh, well, people don't like this, or I'm getting attacked for these views. And so I feel that excess need to get validation is an anti-primal trait, because like you said, back in the days, people needed to survive. Back in the days, people had to go do things to get their food, to provide for their family. and provide things for the people that matter. And I think this excess culture, which is the anti-primal state, is when you're so dependent on external things that really don't matter. And I feel, just to conclude, that this normalization mentality that I said about 2021, I feel more people are realizing what you just said, Carrie. And I'm not saying cut social media. I'm not saying cut people in your life, but I'm just saying be more mindful about the things that matter in your life. And I feel that people are more cognizant of that in 2021, regardless of what views you have.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've cut a lot of things out that I used to really enjoy, like shopping. But I found there was one thing that I've had for a long time that I actually needed more of in 2020, and that I have more of in 2021. And Richard knows what that is.
Those are cats. You want
Well,
more cats.
but
Yeah, we
also
got more
wine.
cats.
Wine. The wine
And
stores have made a fortune.
Yeah, wine and cats is Elizabeth's happy and passage to profit. So, you know, we got an extra cat, and now everybody's happy. But
I agree. Like, it forced us to look at our habits. And, you know, when you're going on Zoom, like if you're going with different groups, you can wear the same outfit the whole day. You can wear it the whole week. Like, you don't even need to put on fancy pants anymore.
Can I make a comment? I think that, well, that was very funny, but I think what Ash is saying is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that there's always going to be a need for human beings to want to build and create? And isn't social status always going to be part of our culture? And just what is social status has changed since cave person times, but there's always going to be this need to be the best. And, you know, maybe it's because we want the most safety. Maybe instead of physical need safety, it's financial safety, or we want to attract the best mate, or, you know, so these kinds of things, I think, are also biologically ingrained in us. And so, you know, there's that tension between being grateful for what you have, but also trying to ensure some sort of security. I don't know. I'll just put that out there.
You know, I have a thought on that. So I think the more authentic way, since we're talking about authenticity, about competing, is about competing with yourself and about looking at things from within to external, not from letting external impact my inner, if that makes sense. Like, your inner views should influence how you see your world versus the outer views shouldn't influence how you see things from the inside. And I feel that more people are starting to see that. So I agree with you that we have a status-driven mentality, but the status-driven mentality, I think the people who are getting it are realizing that the better version I can be of myself, the better fruits of benefits I will get from the external world. So for instance, if I went through a big weight loss type of thing. Like fitness was like one of my 2020 goals. Like the coronavirus pandemic, that whole era, like made me really align myself with my health in a deeper way. Like I lost over 50 pounds and like all this. And this is not about my weight loss story. I'm not looking for like any, like, you know, I'm not trying to be on a reality show. but I'm just making a point that like I noticed changes, like the healthier I got, the more opportunities came in my life. Opportunities that I was chasing in business, opportunities I was chasing on a personal level. Why? Because I was so focused on being the best version of myself, competing with myself. And people subconsciously or inherently want to be around those types of people, whether it's myself or our esteemed guests who are focused on building things and focused on doing things that they're divinely meant to be. And I'm bringing this up because I feel that if you want to use your competitive energy, I think that's the smartest way. Because if you just are focused on what others think about me or compete with others, you're gonna crash and burn because your factors are out of your control.
I completely agree with that. I think that's a technique to be better and to be your best self. But, you know, what is the ultimate point of being your best self?
Well, but I'm going to go back to Carrie's point of the caveman. The caveman doesn't believe that. Our caveman selves don't believe that. They want to build the Taj Mahal. They want to build the pyramids. They want to build the biggest hut on the island, you know, whatever, going way, way back. They want to be kings and queens. And so we've always had that caveman piece of us that is like, I have to compare myself to other people and be better.
Okay, so that's where I respectfully will partially disagree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you that men and women in our time, whether it's Cleopatra, you talk about the pyramids, or you talk about, historical figures like Alexander the Great, or modern day, success stories. I'm saying that the people who are crushing it in life get what I'm saying. The ones that are consistently building a vision, building an empire, as you want to say, or building a dream business, they realize that in order to be successful, they have to first be the best version of themselves, because that's how you attract the best people to do the work, whether it's with you as a business partner or whether it's with people who you hire. People don't want to work with people who are externally driven by what others think about me. They'd rather work with someone's like, this man or woman or person has their, what together. I want to be around that energy, that vibe.
Yeah.
But Ash, I would just ask you, but doesn't a spirit of creativity go along with that? I feel like it's all encompassing, right? So you can be the best version of yourself. You can be in super duper shape. But I know a lot of people who are the epitome of what aesthetically looks good, and they can't create to save their lives. So I think that, to Elizabeth's point, doesn't that go hand in hand with what you're saying?
Yeah. So I don't think looking aesthetic, or let me restate that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with wanting to look the best of yourself. If you want to, have a certain hairstyle, if you want to get lean muscle, or if you want to do something like Botox, whatever it is to make you aesthetically look good, cool. That's for you. But what I'm saying is that if you couple that feature with inner work, what do I really want to do? Who am I really battling against? It's myself. My days should be focused on how can I make myself 1% better, not how can I build a business and try to, be 1% better than others. I'm telling you, the latter will fail. It will fail in the long run.
You know what? It's interesting. I'm going to use a news analogy to sort of bring this home, because I see all the different points that everybody's making, but I've worked at stations across the country and in all different networks and ownership groups, and it's inevitably this. It's the winner is the dominant number one station in terms of the rating in every market is the one who's concerned with what's going on in their own newsroom. And because they are so focused on what they have to do, it's always a dominant number one. I mean, they blow 2, 3, and 4 out of the water, because 2, 3, and 4 are busy looking all over and seeing what everybody else is doing. And then they're trying to catch up. They're like, oh, let's go over here. Oh no, now this station's doing this, so we have to follow up. And their eye is never on the prize. It's always on what everybody around them is doing. And that's inevitably, when you dig down into the deep, that's why they're not winning.
And
there's a bunch of other stuff that goes along with it.
And so also, to just bounce off of what Carrie and Ash said, I did once have a mentor who said, if you want to be a better leader, work on yourself. And it really is true that you can't be a better leader without being a better person. And I always took that advice to heart, and we continue to work on ourselves.
So I think we need to just shoot our caveman self down and say we're going to be the enlightened person.
There is something we can take away from the caveman primal versions of ourselves, is that focus on what you really need, and also embrace the uncomfortability. So that's a theme that I think I feel needs to be talked about more. And I feel in 2021, hopefully people could be more self-aware to see this, is that it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to embrace it. It's have conversations about things, be vulnerable. These are reasons why I love wellness and mental wellness specifically. It's because this is how your mind evolves. And I wanted to go back to something you said, Kenya, earlier about creativity. And I would agree with you, Carrie, that the best, at least as a broadcaster, the best broadcasters that I've ever met or have seen are the ones that literally are working from what can I do that's I'm meant to do, not on what is trending. I have a philosophy that the best entrepreneurs or the best creators follow a purpose, not a trend. And I'll give you a really quick example. So let's say I wanted to create a social network for tennis players. And it was literally, think about like a Facebook for tennis players. There's two ways to think about it. If I did it from a trend standpoint, it's because, there's a lot of advertising dollars in tennis right now. And, there's a big audience. Like, let's say 18 to 35-year-old women are now playing tennis. It's the rage. I want to do it, but I've never played tennis. I just want to do the business because it makes sense. It's dollars and cents, and I can get bought out one day. Someone who's doing it from a purpose-driven standpoint is like, hey, maybe I played in my past, or maybe I have kids that play tennis. And I generally feel that tennis can help people. I generally feel that tennis is something where it's not only going to help people, it's going to be a big business opportunity. Now let's go back. Let's go to a scenario. Let's say the advertising market for tennis dollars went down and the whole tennis social network was driven on ad dollars. Someone who has a trend-based thinking will do that thing where I failed. I'm going to fold shop, all this wasted effort, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to be that person who wallows and goes to some venting group to talk about my failed business. But someone who's thinking from a purpose standpoint is like, you know what? It didn't work out. I'm going to pivot, or I'm going to find a way to make this work. I'll make changes to the business. Heck, I might not just do tennis anymore. I might make it badminton to add, because my mind is clear that I'm in this for the long run. And I feel that people who get this purpose-driven mentality are people who do the inner work on themselves. That's where the whole reason why I bring this example up.
Right. And I think that goes back a little bit to what Kenya was saying about being ourselves and not putting some chip in our brain, right?
Exactly.
So we've come full circle, and unfortunately, our time with the segment is up.
Yeah.
And but it's been an absolutely fascinating conversation. I don't think we've ever gone this deep on Passage to Profit ever. So thank you very much, Ash. Ash, where can our audience find you?
Yeah, well, my name is pretty synonymous at all my platforms. So ASHKUMRA. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. And then my company, it's interesting you bring how to reach me. I'm actually, by the time this show airs, I'm actually launching a habit-based platform. So one thing I want to do this year is I want to help people focus on building wellness habits. And so we're launching a platform for these 7-day habit challenges, and it's called Habit Crew. So you'll be able to look it up in end of February, habitcrew.com.
Well, we look forward, and I hope you can stick around for a few more minutes as we continue on with the program. You're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gerhardt, our special guest. Ash Kumar will be back right after this message. Welcome back, everybody. Passage to Profit. We just had the most fascinating discussion about human nature and wellness
and what's happening in 2021 with Ash Kumar.
Yeah, right? And gratitude, the whole ball of wax. So if you missed that segment and you're just tuning in now, make sure to go to our podcast, which will be available tomorrow and on all podcast networks, right?
And if you want to see the amazing people that are on the show, go to our YouTube channel, Passage to Profit Show. It's really fun to watch people talk. And
yep, it sure is. So, and this has been fantastic so far. And now I'd like to introduce our very own Carrie Barrett, who's going to be talking with Mrs. New Jersey, Christina Henderson. So
can I just say a word about Carrie?
You can, yeah.
So Carrie is an Emmy award-winning TV anchor who now has her own consulting business, Carrie Barrett Consulting, which Richard and I are using to try to improve our performance on Passage to Profit.
So you can be the judge, audience.
We asked her to interview Christina.
We just started working together.
Great style. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And I am kidding. You guys are amazing. Everybody always, the chemistry between the two of you is phenomenal. You have something special going on here. With that said, we also have a really special group of guests that are here as well. Thank you for the kind introduction. I've been looking forward to talking to Christina Henderson ever since you guys invited me to be on the show. So we have Mrs. New Jersey America. Christina, it's so nice to meet you and see you.
So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for interviewing me. I really appreciate it.
So you're the current Mrs. New Jersey, correct?
I am. This has been a wild year. I've been so busy and it's just been such an incredible opportunity. It's really
have you always been, I guess you have been, right? Always sort of in that pageant circle, or how does that work?
So I used to watch Miss USA on TV. And when I was 19, I was like, oh, let me just compete for Miss New Jersey. And I just went in. Literally. And I didn't train at all. I just went for it. And I got the best interview award, but all these other girls had really trained hard for it. And I got that pageant bug. I really enjoyed meeting these other women who are really out in the community, making a difference. And I learned that it's not about this is a modern day pageant. It's not just about strutting your stuff on a stage. It's about giving back to the community. And I always love working with nonprofits. So it kind of aligned with my values and my goals. So, and just making friendships with like-minded women was pretty incredible. So then I gave it another go for Miss Massachusetts when I was 24, and I competed for that. And I was a finalist, and I got Miss Congeniality, most photogenic. And I had thought that was my last pageant. And then I found the married pageant, Mrs. And I'm already, again, so involved in nonprofits that I said, why not? Let me just go for it. And now I'm so grateful to have the title and be able to really be a bigger voice for nonprofits. You know, when I'm in a crown and sash, people want to talk to me more, and it just helps amplify the message of the nonprofits that I work with. And also I work with women in business too. I'm building a support system for women owners. And I think it's so important that women support women in 2021. So, and moving forward. So it's just been such an incredible experience.
Have you had to change the way? I mean, I know that when you are on the I don't know if even the pageant circuit is the right word. And I apologize if I'm not using the correct terminology, but you travel a lot. How has that changed with everything that's going on in terms of the pandemic?
So right now I'm kind of staying in New Jersey and doing most of my traveling. Actually, with my business, I'm actually on a campaign donating masks, and we're doing it to close by states. We're going to New York, Philadelphia. We are going to be traveling to Florida and California when it's a little bit safer to do so. And we're donating over 100,000 masks, which I'll get into in a little bit. But as Mrs. New Jersey, I'm touring the state, and you know what? I'm still going out there, even though it is a pandemic. Of course, I'm wearing my mask and having that extra safety protection. But it's important that, having this title, I think it's important that we all remain hopeful, and, meeting with other people during this time, I think is really important. Human beings, we're social beings, and it's still important that we live our lives to the fullest. And I want to make the most of this year, and I'm doing it the safest way possible. And I think that's important, but we just can't stop living our lives. We have to still live and seize every opportunity. And so I'm making the most of it and working with nonprofits. Just because it's a pandemic, these organizations aren't stopping. They're not on a break or on a pause. It's important that we still get out there and support our nonprofits and support our small businesses during this time, because it's so critical. It's so crucial.
Well, of course. And not, especially with the nonprofits, not only are, for many of them, their donations are down, but the need is so great. I have a friend who runs a nonprofit here in Rockaway, New Jersey, actually. And it's a really tough time. And I know she's not the only one that's struggling. And I want to ask you a little bit about that, but you talked earlier about the importance of being supportive and the way that you help small business owners, and especially women-owned business. You're a certified women-owned business, and I want to talk to you about business in a moment. But I was looking at your Instagram page, and if you're not following Christina, you should be. It's very, very cool. One of the initiatives that you have right now is that you're going to all 21 counties in the state of New Jersey, and you're visiting with women who own their businesses, who run businesses. How did you get that going, and what's sort of the ultimate goal? What would you like to see happen with that?
Well, I kind of thought of the idea because I had searched for like a grassroots or like a support system for women owners, and I couldn't really find any actually. I'm WBE certified, and that's a network of women, but that's a small percentage of women who are WBE certified. And so it kind of made sense to me to meet with other women owners. And, as a woman-owned business, as an owner, I find it hard to meet other women who are like-minded in business, who have, a thirst for success and for giving back, and just it's hard to find people with that same mindset and build a friendship too. And so I really wanted to make that a part of it as well. So then I also, with this difficult time, I wanted to meet with these women owners and discuss how they pivoted their business and how they kept their businesses alive and successful during this difficult time, for small businesses. Yeah. So I was so excited to start my tour to the 21 counties in New Jersey. And I'm a Jersey girl raised in New Jersey, but I haven't seen some of these counties and these towns ever before. I haven't even heard of some of them. So it was a great experience to start. And it's just been incredible. And I'm still continuing my tour. I'll be in Bergen County tomorrow. And I've just had the most incredible experience. Seeing the hope on people's faces, and people have been so welcoming and so warm to me. I went to the town of Frenchtown, New Jersey, which I've never been to before. And if you haven't been, I highly recommend it. It's this very charming town. And I was there in December and it was all decorated for Christmas. It was like a Hallmark movie town. It was awesome. And the mayor was there and the policemen were there to welcome me. And 90% of the businesses in Frenchtown are women owned. And they were so excited to see me and talk to me. And it was a really, really beautiful moment. It was Christmas time. So I really felt the magic of Christmas during the pandemic. And one of the women owners told me a story about how her neighbor's business was suffering and another business came in and helped pay their bills. And then I visited a bakery in that town and they told me, don't leave without trying the bakery down the street. And they're a competitor business. Yeah. And that is just what it's all about. And it has been so incredible and really moving. And I'll remember this for the rest of my life. And I just really tell people to really support your small businesses during this time. When you grab a coffee, don't run to Starbucks. Think about supporting your small businesses because they're hurting right now during this pandemic. And that's really why I'm doing that.
I love that you talked about how, it sort of goes back to a little bit of what Ash was saying, but not coming from that scarcity mindset and instead coming from a mindset of where there is enough for everybody. It may look a little bit different than it did, 10 months ago or approaching 12 now, but that is truly where so much of that belief in giving back and actually living it, not just saying you want to do it. And I want to talk to you about your business and how you give back. You mentioned that you were on a sort of a coast to coast tour for delivering PPE and masks. Your business is called Henderson Promos and you're a promotional company, right? We can see some of the swag that you have behind you, but tell us a little bit about what you do and why giving back within your industry and within your business is so important and how you go about it.
Sure. So Henderson Promos are a promotional products company. Like you said, we do swag. We put logos on anything like t-shirts, hats, bags, you name it. We offer over 700,000 branded items. So when the pandemic hit, all of a sudden we were operating at 10 to 20% of what we normally operate at. So we had gone from our most successful year ever in promos to now 10 to 20%. And you got to think about that for a second. We have employees we have to pay. We have bills we have to pay. So that was a very scary time. All of a sudden we were worried and we had to really think fast. And we were actually doing promos for hospitals at the time, and they were coming to us for PPE items. So we were able in the beginning of the pandemic to use our manufacturers overseas that were making our pop sockets and fidget spinners. They were now making PPE items, gowns, masks, gloves, these items that we were able to supply to hospitals, states, and our frontline workers. But I was on the phone with cargo ships and private planes, highly stressed out, dealing with large numbers. It was very risky for our business. And it was too much stress, shipping delays, but we were able to get the items to the people who need them most. But what we decided was we need to keep it in the USA. We need to find a way that we can provide this and not rely overseas. So we partnered with a company in California. So now we're making 3-ply masks and we're able, and N95 masks pending NIOSH approval. And we are supplying the states, hospitals, frontline workers, Fortune 500 companies with the PPE, the 3-ply masks that have that extra protection. And we're also doing the gowns and gloves and things like that as well. But these are such critical items and we should really not be looking overseas when we can make it here in the USA, and we're able to employ people in the USA. And I think that's so important during this time. There's so many Americans out of jobs, and I don't understand why we keep going overseas when all these items can be made here in the USA, and they are being made. And actually there's companies that are making these items, and I know businesses and hospitals and states that are still using overseas, which, is an issue. We really have to support our USA companies and have it made here,
Is there something in your story or your journey or your life? What made you so focused on sort of this nonprofit sector and the idea of giving back rather? Was it something that was instilled in you from a young age, something you saw your parents doing?
Thank you for asking. I think life, as I've as I've grown up, I've realized that life is about service and giving back. What's the point of living if you're not helping other people? And so one of the organizations I work closely with is called the Tigger House Foundation, raising awareness for opioid addiction. I lost my brother-in-law from an opioid overdose, and it's a huge epidemic facing the world. And I think it's so important that we raise awareness, change the stigma surrounding this disease, make it okay to talk about, because people still don't like to talk about it. They like to hide it. And we have to really address the situation and educate our youth. So I'm very passionate about that. I'm also passionate about helping the food banks. I work closely with Fulfill, the food bank of Monmouth and Ocean counties, but I'm also donating masks to many other food banks nationwide. But I think people don't realize that since the pandemic, the need for food has increased 40 to 60% in our nation. And if you think about that for a second, that's just unacceptable. And we really need to do something about that. And I think it's really important that we really look at our food banks and help as much as possible. I was standing on the street handing out masks to the food bank of Harlem, and it broke my heart to see people, waiting online from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It was freezing cold, and they were waiting in line for a few things of food that they could eat for the week. And I don't even know if that would be enough for them. I saw little kids waiting online. I saw people with dirty masks waiting online. That's another reason why we're giving out clean, safe masks for them. And I saw someone with little dogs. The dogs were shivering, and it just really broke my heart. And we really need to help our community during this time. There's so many people that are struggling. Someone you might think might not be struggling could be. I'm at these food banks, and, they're like, don't judge, because there could be a BMW pulling up and that person could have just lost their job. So you really just don't know who's struggling, and you really have to be, aware, and I just try and help your neighbors. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely.
It's a difficult time for a lot of people. And with my title and with my business, it's just all about giving back.
Absolutely. Richard or Elizabeth, do you have a quick question?
Well, I have kind of a comment, but a question too. So, Carrie, you said something in there that really hit home for everything we've been talking about this show. When you mentioned that this has been almost a year now that we've been in quarantine and COVID, and we all thought it was going to be over by July, right? I mean, we hoped it would be. And so at what point, and maybe Christina can answer this, do you realize, well, this ain't going away? And so I got to do something different here. I got to pivot. Like, where does that realization come in for people? And should it come in sooner in our everyday lives? So like, if something's not working the way that you need it to work in your everyday life from now on, are you just going to let it think, oh, this is temporary? Or are you going to say, well, this could be like COVID and I need to change now?
Yeah, I highly recommend people having a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D in place for their future. This is the new normal. Don't think it's going away anytime soon. And you have to really change your business model for the pandemic and do things outside the box, take risks. Now's the time to take risks. Now's the time to rebrand your business and really put yourself out there. Focus on your website, focus on your social media, building up your presence. And you might have to switch career paths, and that's okay. That happens, and you have to find a way to adapt to this new world, because I think it's not going away anytime soon, just from the need for PPE out there. So I think that we really need to adapt, and that's really important. And it's okay, and be hopeful and embrace it, and don't be afraid of it.
So Christina, the lawyer brain of mine is working. I'm wondering how you got into the contest in Massachusetts if you were from New Jersey. But
Sure. So I lived in Massachusetts for a little while. I attended Boston University. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in journalism. So I did journalism for a little bit. And, but unfortunately I took out a lot of student loans for BU, and journalism wasn't paying the bills, unfortunately. So my husband is an attorney like yourself, and he started our business. It was Thrive Promos in the beginning. And he started by printing t-shirts and a screen printing machine in our kitchen and selling them to his friends, and they liked them. And then they told their friends, and it was just kind of word of mouth. And then I said, I want to really come into this business, and I feel like I could really transform it. I have experience in sales, and I think I want to switch my path to business. And so I decided to leave my career in journalism And in my first year at Thrive Promos, I rebranded to Henderson Promos to keep it in the family name. And I tripled the company's sales in the first year. And it just has been growing tremendously ever since. And it was the best decision I've ever made. So that's really what happened in Massachusetts.
Well, you're clearly a natural. So obviously you made a good career choice there. But the other question, the more serious question that I wanted to ask was when you talk with women who have pivoted their business, can you give us some examples of some of the types of pivots that they've made so our audience can also perhaps consider some of the options that other people chose?
Sure. So when I visit some restaurants, a couple of the restaurants I visited are more focused on takeout, partnering with Uber Eats, partnering with these other companies that allow for delivery services. And I think that's really important for restaurants. I went to a bakery and they said that they're doing a lot of online sales that they've never done before, and different promotions they're doing on social media. And then, you know what, to be quite honest, I also visited a couple of businesses that kind of have given up, and they really are not willing to change, not willing to adapt because they're so used to their old business model. And it really breaks my heart to see that. But that's the reality of the situation. You can't be afraid to change your business model, do things online, sell online, be able for boutiques to have all your clothes available online to sell. And I know it's going to be difficult in the beginning and navigating that, but that might be the only way that you're going to succeed and stay afloat during this time. So you just got to just dive in and stay hopeful again and stay positive.
Great. Well, thank you. It sounds like online is definitely a key feature.
Mm-hmm.
Penny, I think you had a question you were itching to ask.
Yes, just super quick. So Christina, you seem so like well-grounded and very self-aware, right? And sometimes there can be that misconception that pageantry or the whole beauty business can have some superficial attributes to it. I just kind of want to go back to Ash's comments earlier about the inner work. What is some advice and tips that you would give for people that you've kind of done to stay grounded and have done the inner work to kind of get where you are?
Sure. So what it comes down to is really believing in yourself. You don't need a huge support system of people to believe in you. And Ash was talking a little bit about that. It's about really just having this drive to succeed and not worried about the outside noise. With pageantry, I meet people who think of it and have that old idea of pageantry, right? And these women that I compete with are incredible women. They're entrepreneurs, they're business women, they're doctors, they're nurses. One of my good friends now, Mrs. Massachusetts, is building a church in Nigeria right now. So these are the kind of things that these women are doing. There is so much substance to them, and they are incredible people who genuinely care about giving back to the community, and you could just tell. And I think it's important that people see it in that kind of a light, because that's what it really is now, and at least my experience with it and why I do pageantry. And I think, also it's just, again, it's about just believing in yourself. And, that's the biggest thing, and just going for it. I mean, whatever you want in life, if you take that risk, it's not going to happen if you don't go for it. Right. And you might fail a million times, but just keep at it. If that's your main goal, don't give up. And it might be really hard. And you might have a lot of people who may say things and they don't support you, and it could be your family, but you have to just focus on what you want, in your heart, what feels right. And you have to stay positive and driven and know that it's going to come true. I believe in the law of attraction, if you can't tell.
Ash.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. You were amazing. I'm going to ask you one little question. I may put you on the spot, but can you give any of us like a quick sneak peek? Like, what does it look like behind the scenes at a pageant or a competition? Like how we all envision it in our minds?
Yeah, a lot of nerves are backstage and people practicing for their interview. The interview is the biggest part of the pageant, and you never know. Any question's fair game, and it's a 3-minute timed interview. So that's kind of what everyone's kind of like going over. But they really ask you things about yourself. They want to just get to know you. And but yeah, it's a little bit of nerves, but it's all the girls meeting with one another, and again building these friendships. I'm really good friends with these women who are just doing amazing things, and it's just an incredible network to be surrounded by. So that's why I really love pageantry, and it's also about like just putting yourself out there and being confident. And win or lose, there's only one winner, but it's you feel so good when you just go for it, and you might be nervous, but you tackled it and you did your best, and that's the most important thing. And it just builds that confidence, which is so important in business too, in all different areas of life.
100%. I will never forget an answer to a Miss America question, and she ultimately won. It was the interview, and she was from Hawaii. This was years ago. And they said, "What's the first thing you're going to do after this pageant is over?" And she said, "I'm going to eat everything in the world twice." And I'll never forget it.
I love that. That's hilarious. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. It's been amazing to be surrounded by such movers and shakers out there. So this has been incredible.
Awesome.
Well, that's great. So thank you, Carrie, for the executive spotlight and interview. I thought it was really interesting. And Christina, you are such an amazing talent in so many ways.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on our show.
And can I just add for the executive spotlight, we normally ask people to make a charitable donation, but that's kind of Christina's whole life. So we didn't ask her this time. Well,
she's outdone everybody already.
Free mass, free food.
So we have to take a commercial break, but we'll be back with more Passage to Profit right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Passage to Profit on WOR 710, the voice of New York. We're here now with Kenya Gibson, who's going to do a segment on Power Move. So Kenya, who do you have for us today?
We have Monique Idlet. We're going to be talking about her and her contribution to Undercover Billionaire. So I don't know if anyone's been watching that show on the Discovery Network, but it's an amazing show about entrepreneurship and basically how they only give you $100, a broke down car, and you have to leave all that you know and go find a way to build a business. And Monique has been able to do just that. She has been able to build a $1 million business in 90 days, right? Which is, some people don't even do that in a lifetime, right? And, she has an interesting background as well. She's, was married to a few celebrities, but, really has kind of left all that she's known to do it on her own. She worked her way from poverty all the way to where she is now, and has started multiple businesses. But this is her recent venture. And I just thought it would be cool to highlight her for Power Move today.
Wow, that's really great.
What kind of business did she start?
I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to go watch the show.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I was going to tell, but I was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to push some people to the show. So you have to watch Undercover Billionaire on the Discovery Network to find out what kind of business she built. And she's not the only one, right? So they feature a lot of different entrepreneurs on the show as well. But I thought she had a super cool story, how she kind of worked away from nothing to where she is.
I'm familiar with it, and thank you for sharing that, Coach Kenya. I think this is a great example that Christina had shared in the earlier segment about, if there's a will, there's a way, and never giving up. These terms about pivoting and finding whatever it takes. This is the American dream. This is entrepreneurship. This is what makes our society be inspired, be innovative. And so it's a great testament with this example. I love it when I see more positive reality shows versus just the things that are all about excess and things of that sort. So, and I'm not saying that's bad for you to watch those things. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying, I like this. It's a great example.
And every business is really built on a series of small successes. I mean, sometimes you can hit it big with one big deal, but really most of the time it's incremental improvements, incremental process, and it takes a little time. So I'm amazed that this woman had the talent or luck or whatever it was to create a $90
I am so
90-day $1 million business.
Yeah, I am so curious. I'm going to have to watch the show.
You have to tune in.
Well, you know what's funny? That show sort of came out when I first started my business, which wasn't all that long ago. And I remember thinking, I need to watch this because this is what I need to do. It can be a little longer than 90 days, but I'm still plugging away at it. I'm still in the incremental success.
Elizabeth, why don't you
Yes.
tell us about Fireside?
Yeah, so I have my own little startup. It's called Fireside Directory, and it is a website and a YouTube channel. And what I do is I interview small business owners, and I put them on my YouTube channel and website. And I have been building it for almost a year now. I've started with attorneys, and then COVID hit, and we obviously have a video studio of our own in the building that the law firm is in. And so I was doing really great videos with a videographer up here in the studio, and then COVID hit and everybody went on Zoom. The biggest barrier I had to start was that people didn't want to be on video. They were terrified, even with an interviewer. And so COVID actually was beneficial in that way, because all of a sudden everybody had to be on Zoom, whether they wanted to or not, right? And so I started going to networking things and meeting people. And, people are wonderful. I just spoke to this man in Queens, and he's going to introduce me to 30 people he thinks could be on my site. So I'm growing it. And of course, I'm not always going to be able to do all the interviews myself. So I'm going to try to get business interviews from other people, but I want it to be the Wikipedia of small business by video. And so I really expanded it during COVID from just being attorneys to being all small businesses. And a lot of people are doing things like this now, but as we've discussed on this show, it doesn't really matter if Carrie Barrett makes a lot better business video than I do of someone. I mean, that video could come on my site, but everybody does it different. So yeah, there are a lot of people doing business videos now. Some people like my interview style and they want to do an interview, or they want to put a video on that they already have it. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I think the neat part about having a directory is if you don't have a place to put your video, or if you're not a web person and you don't really know where to put it on your website, you have it on a directory and you can direct people there to learn more about yourself.
And on YouTube. And YouTube is the second most searched engine after Google. So yeah, so you have a video on YouTube of yourself. So yay. Well, I am so excited about this product and about the presenter. This is just so clever and so inventive, but it's something everybody can use, especially in this day and age. But you know me, I'll probably use it till the day I die. So without further ado, I'm going to let him explain what it is. So welcome to Hirsch Chin with Bond Sanitizer.
Yeah, let's go.
I've developed this, I was out shopping and we realized that we need something that's better in the sanitizing world. And what I developed is this, me and my partner, it's a personal wearable hand sanitizer dispenser. So I was seeing people that were walking around with big sanitizer bottles sticking out of their pockets. And basically what it is right, there's pumps. It's a refillable cartridge. It's a refillable cartridge. The nozzle comes off. You stick in any gel sanitizer that you like. Some people like it scented, some people like no scent. Put it back on, and then stick it into the holster that sits on a belt or a purse strap or anything like that. We make it pretty tight because we've been using a lot of healthcare. People in healthcare were using it, so it sits on scrubs as well. So we had to make it tight, but then it'll loosen up if you're using it on a belt or a purse strap. And then, so when you reach underneath it and you just give a little squeeze, the sanitizer dispenses from the bottom in the nozzle. So it's one-handed operation. You're not reaching into your pocket or purse or flipping a cap and then squeezing it. And then as you're closing the cap, most of it drips off your hand. So we went through a bunch of iterations to actually get the shape, size. We wanted it to be big enough that you're not constantly refilling it, but small enough that it's convenient and lightweight. So that's what I came up with. And within a few months, you're able to get a design engineer to print 3D prototypes and create the molds and get it manufactured. So here we are. This is a Bond Sanitizer, and it's our personal one-hand touch wearable sanitizer dispenser.
That is such a great idea. I'll never forget the first time that after the pandemic, Elizabeth got into my car and I had a hand sanitizer bottle in there, and she and I are like exactly the opposite. She sanitizes everything. I go by the 2-minute rule. If it falls on the floor, I'll eat it, right? So
if a cat doesn't get there first.
And so I had this bottle of sanitizer in my car and she was shocked. So,
Yes.
but
No,
I'm
but-
sure there's plenty of people out there. And I mean, there should be a government regulation that forces people to use this, right?
I agree 100% for sure.
I wanted to just chime in. I really like this product, and I feel that it's very helpful for fitness, as an example. So whether you work out at a park or you're in an outdoor class that's allowed for working out, I can tell you right now, I would love to do this right after I do yoga or right after I'm doing weights. And it's like, you're right. I was making this comment that or showing this, and I have one of these in my bag. Look how big this is. And this is like a small size. And what you're saying would be so applicable. No joke, I'm going to buy one. So I really like what you're doing, man.
Well, that was my question, Irish. Like I teach at a gym right now, and we have these really bulky, big dispensers that are right in front of the class. And I wonder, have you thought about doing a model like this for gyms and places where people are publicly working out? Because I feel like all we have now is this like pump thing, and it's not, people don't use it as much as they should because of where it's located. I feel like if it was in more of a universal place, that they would maybe use it more.
Yeah, I mean, well, the idea is, I mean, I would love to get into gyms. So, like we've been branding a lot of people, and these are just some of the brands that we've done on there. But to get into gyms where gyms, let's say, would give this out to their members, they could put their logo, their phone number on it, and really have. You're right, because the pump on the wall, maybe it's conveniently located for some and not for others. Maybe it's empty when you get over there, or maybe there's like 30 people crowding around over there, and you don't want to jump in there. And get too close. This is your own. Nobody else is touching it. I think you have your sanitizer in there. Some people like they're 70%. Some people like.
I think we need a national bond sanitizer mandate.
Well,
I think what we need.
100%. What I really like about it, just real quick, and then I know we need to go to someone else, is that you don't actually know what's in those other sanitizer containers. Right. You don't know if it's some. You
mean they may not put sanitizer
in it? Some homemade batch of moonshine. Somebody stuck in there because it's got alcohol in it. Or no, there were a lot when this started. Remember, there were a lot of fake sanitizers that came out. Yeah. So this you could put your own that you know what it is.
You could have a dirty eyes.
And sanitizers have a shelf life too. Sanitizers they do expire. So again, people aren't going there going to check the expiration date on the gym sanitizer. And I'm not saying that they're putting in expired stuff, but if somebody wants to have a little more control, and then literally it's a little bit of a leap, but the truth is when somebody's in a store and they touch a shopping cart or whatever, there's this little bug in their head. It's like, my hand is dirty. I got to find something. I got to get somewhere. And like from a very basic mental health standpoint, it's like, I just sanitize and it's off my head. There's no bother. I'm not worried. It's like, shoot, okay, I touched the shopping cart, then I touched my wallet, and I touched my credit card. Now everything is just like, it's on my head. It really just alleviates. It's, you touch something, you give it, because touching something isn't going to give you COVID. It's about, it's what happens after, right? So the gloves aren't really the answer. The answer is to keep your hands clean. And this, I think, just checked all those boxes, and the feedback has been incredible.
I want to order your sanitizer like in bulk. And then I want to ask Christina to put my logo on it. And then I want to ask Ash to do like a little wellness quote that I see every time I reach in and I take a little squirt.
And we'll file the trademark. So
bring this all together.
Whoa, we just created a business here. I love it. I love this show.
That's right. We'll get the iHeartRadio logo on the front.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, I absolutely, I take wipes with me to the store and I wipe off the grocery cart and all this other stuff, but then I'm touching stuff and I'm touching my credit. And I do constantly think about this. And the thing is, if I'm fumbling in my purse, it's like, oh crap, I just got these germs all over the inside of my purse.
Wouldn't be a show if we didn't have an idea. So I have an idea and you can tell me if it sucks. I have no ego, right? So I know we've solved the whole hand thing, but the biggest thing that skews me out when I go to a gym or I go to the classes is the equipment. So like the free weights. There's nothing that I've seen that I've ever worked in a gym where it's been like there's anything, a formula to sanitize equipment. So I'm curious to know like how invasive, how hard do you think that is to create something? Because I just feel like we wipe stuff down and all we have is these yucky spray bottles and paper towel. Like I've never seen anything on the market specific to gyms where we can it's equipment to disinfect the equipment. Just throwing it out there.
Think of something. Yeah.
It would almost have to be like misted to get everything, right?
Yeah. Or even like in a gel form. I don't know, but it's something.
But I think this idea is great because I do fumble around and I do worry about what I'm touching. And if I could just have it and squirt it and know it's my own sanitizer and nobody else has even touched the bottle and I'm not going to get some weird, I mean, we're worried about COVID now. What's it going to be next year? Like, so
Right.
I'm going to stay sanitized.
And whatever it is,
Yeah.
No, I think it fills a great need and it's a great idea. Did you happen to file a patent on this or?
I did. I wish I would have used a Gearhart law.
Well, we wish you would have too, but that's okay.
But we're glad you're smart enough to do it.
We're glad that you did
next
it.
invention.
Yeah. So no, that's fantastic. So
that was fun, but I think we're running out of time. We're going to do a quick wrap up after this commercial. This has been a great show. What interesting conversations.
Yeah. And Hirsch, can you let our listeners and our audience know where they can find you?
Absolutely. So check out bondsanitizer.com, BOND sanitizer. Not just after James Bond because it's a gadget, but it was really the idea, the name came from people bonding and connecting because we were so separated when COVID hit and nobody was shaking hands, nobody was high-fiving, everyone was at maximum doing the elbow bump. But we wanted people to be able to bond again and be able to high five. So that's where that name came from. And bondsanitizer.com and check us out. There's singles, multi-packs, family packs, business packs with logos on our website. If they put in, because it's Passage to Profit, if they put in Passage 15, they'll get a 15% discount for your listeners.
So you are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, our special guest, Ash Kumra, and our executive spotlight, Christina Henderson, our wonderful interviewer, Carrie Barrett. And we will be right back after this message.
And welcome back, everybody. Passage to Profit. It has been a truly remarkable show in every way, hasn't it?
It has been. I'm going to go through who we had, but if you missed it, our podcast comes out tomorrow. You can also find it on our YouTube channel, Passage to Profit Show. I would encourage everybody to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we get some beautiful guests and also very great conversations. And you can see them on YouTube. Absolutely.
We have gone from the very deep to the very clean. So I think that we've accomplished a lot.
So to recap, we had just one of the most interesting conversations we've ever had on the show, honestly, with Ash Kumra, who is a wellness entrepreneur, radio show host, but really, I think a deep thinker and
a cool guy too. He thinks about a lot of cool
and
stuff.
So,
thank you.
It's spelled ASHKUMRA. So you can find him at ashkumra.com. You can find him on Instagram, and he's starting something new, which should be started by the time this airs, called habitcrew.com. So look for Ash. He'll blow you away if you ever get in a conversation with him. Then we had Carrie Barrett, who has Carrie Barrett Consulting.
And you should really consult with Carrie because she really knows what she's talking about and what she's doing. The
people that look better on Zoom these days have worked with Carrie. Anyway, so she helps. She's a media consultant. She helps you look better on media.
Emmy award-winning
TV anchor. Yes. And so the way she spells her name is KerryBarrett. You can find her at KerryBarrettConsulting.com. That's her email. Carrie interviewed Christina Henderson. So Christina Henderson is Mrs. New Jersey, and it's kind of amazing to hear about all the stuff that she does.
Yeah, I mean, she's made the world a better place 50,000 times. So, and we really need people like her to move the ball forward.
And she has hendersonpromos.com, spelled exactly how it sounds. And they turned around, they're giving away masks for free. They're working with food banks. I mean, she's unbelievable human being.
And she's connecting with women businesses and who are working to pivot during the COVID situation. So really great to know her and meet her on the show.
Right. And you can find her at kh@hendersonpromos.com. If you missed this segment or the first segment, really, you should go back and listen to it because they were pretty amazing. And then we had Kenya Gibson do her power move, which was really interesting. We have to all go watch this TV show.
How to be a millionaire in 90 days or less. So.
And so Kenya, you know, one of her jobs, she's very creative, and one of her jobs is to help people find marketing solutions using iHeart resources. It's Kenya Gibson with the P at iHeartMedia.com. They not only have radio spots, which are all over the country, but they also have digital marketing, and they really know what they're doing. Right?
And the digital marketing is fantastic. We've been using it for over a year now, and we just have all sorts of calls. People are just really being reached by their marketing, and it's translated into some great business for our firm. So.
And then I talked a little bit about Fireside. You can find it's fireside.directory, or just look up Elizabeth Gearhart on LinkedIn. You'll see everything you need to know.
Yes.
And then we had Hirsch Chin with Bond Sanitizer. So his website is bondsanitizer.com. And
it's a sanitizer you can put on your belt, and you can dispense right there on the spot.
It's a personal hand sanitizer that rides on your belt. You push one button with one hand, you get sanitizer, you fill it up with your own sanitizer so you know exactly what's in it and how old the sanitizer is.
And so when you feel the need to be clean, he's right there with you. So,
and who doesn't in this day and age?
So,
right.
So I guess that's about it. Before we sign off, do any of our guests this evening have any comments? Kenya?
Well, I just want to say it was a pleasure as always being part of the conversation. We got to talk to Mrs. New Jersey, which was lovely. Ash, it was super great connecting with you and meeting you and all your insight on inner wellness and all things far in between. And Ursh, I love what you're doing with the whole sanitizing game, right?
Thank
you. I'm excited to see growth in that space. We all want to make sure that we feel safe and we feel clean, and especially with everything going on. And Carrie, it was nice as always to connect with you and have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say, I'm so glad that you brought to light the contestant, or I shouldn't say the contestant, but the star of Undercover, is it Undercover Millionaire?
Billionaire.
Okay, I was going to say, but I was shooting too low there. Undercover Billionaire. I'm going to follow her closely. Her story is inspiring. Christina, it was obviously fantastic to meet you. I love what you're doing with giving back and supporting one another. Hirsch, I'm all in. I'm placing my order for your sanitizers as soon as we get off this show. And Ash, it was a delight to talk to you as well. I love the way that you're making us all think a little bit deeper about where we are and our line of sight, really, when it comes to being our best self.
Well, first off, what's great about speaking later is that I can literally just say that what everyone else had just said, I agree with. No, literally, you all really
easy out. Yep.
Yeah, I second that. No, but on a serious note, this was a very insightful conversation. I love media that is about giving you the ability to share perspective, giving you the ability to think out of the box. I love the fact that this show focuses on entrepreneurship and innovation. I strongly believe, like what Christina had said about the Made in USA, it's what powers Made in USA is entrepreneurship and building businesses, whether it's small, medium, whatnot. So I just want to thank you all. I really appreciate this, and I hopefully would love to be on this again if there's an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So that's about it for us this evening. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the people that make this show possible. Noah Fleischman, our producer at iHeart, who takes all of this and makes it into something listenable and watchable. Alicia Morrissey, who's our program coordinator, who puts these shows together. She does such a great job. Thank you, Alicia. Also, Angela Wolf, our video editor. She is one fantastic editor. And if you need video editing, she's your choice.
Or video shooting. She's going to places and shooting COVID,
that's
doing COVID protocols with it.
So, and that's about it for us. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also check out our YouTube channel at
Passage to Profit Show, and you'll get to see everybody and you'll see how much fun we're having.
So thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. And we look forward to bringing you another Passage to Profit next week. This is Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart for Passage to Profit on iHeartRadio, WOR 710, the voice of New York.